Hi everyone, welcome to First Church of Religious Science. Welcome to our self-healing class that we have every Thursday night here at First Church. I want to say a special welcome to all of you who are new. Anyone who's new, there will be a time of sharing after our lesson. I want to give a special shout out to everyone who is finding us for the first time on Spotify, on YouTube, Facebook. All of our broadcasts will be found there. I see many of you are signing on as I speak. So those of you who are in our Zoom call will have an opportunity after the lesson to share. It's one of the best parts of our gatherings where we who are like-minded people can share our observations and what comes up for us. We meet with the same Zoom link, by the way, every Wednesday night for a creative living series that Jimmy will host. And this particular segment is our longest running group gathering, which is based upon the book You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. Many of you are devoted to Louise Hay, her book. You've either read it for years, or you've found it, or you've become reacquainted with it. I want to start this evening with a little meditation. It's only a minute, I think. So it's called Embracing Infinite Love. So you can just get yourself settled in your space. And if you're just joining us, this is the Thursday evening Louise Hay class, our self-healing class. We're going to have a little brief meditative experience. So as we settle into our space, I invite you to gently close your eyes for a moment or two. Take a deep breath, a slow breath in, hold it for a second, and exhale gently. And do it again. And feel the chair supporting you, the air around you. Notice it, the calmness that is within you. Just breathe that in and exhale. Scrunch up your muscles a little bit and relax. Breathe in this beautiful air. You can imagine it, a radiant light at the center of your chest, a brilliant point of energy, soothing energy. This light represents an infinite well of love. You'll recall Louise in her book said, deep at the center of my being is an infinite well of love. So imagine that there now. And as you breathe in with each breath, this light expands within you and it grows brighter. It's light, though it fills you up, this golden, beautiful light. This light represents love, which is unconditional, powerful, and always transformative. It reaches out from you, extending beyond your physical form, healing and touching anything that needs to be healed along the way. It leaves and goes beyond you to touch the people around you, in your home, in your world, the people you care about, the world itself, touching everyone and everything all around you. As Louise Hay taught us, deep at the center of our being is this infinite well of energy, this well of love. So in our minds, let us see this love embracing ourselves now, surrounding us. Let us feel this warmth, knowing that true healing and change always begins with loving the self. So breathe that all in, and then just allow yourself to come back feeling refreshed and reminded of the truth of who you are, that you are one with light and love, and you're one with all of us, one with the one. Louise Hay had her roots in religious science, as many of you know, so I may as well say this in case anyone is new. We come into this teaching and we understand that there is a presence, a universal presence. That means whatever it is, this thing, this higher power, it's a part of you. You live in it, you move in it, you have your being in it. And I hope this evening I'm able to show you that it responds to you. Every thought you think is creating your future. So As we gather, we start to understand the importance of our thinking, our thoughts. We learn to empower ourselves in this class. This evening, I wanted to talk to you about Louise Hay as a mystic. And before I could do that, I thought, well, I need to explain what mysticism is for those who don't know. So what does it mean to be a mystic? This is a word I've been thinking about for many, many years. Because we learn in our teaching to take a mystical approach to life. And I will start out by saying a mystic begins to see beyond what's visible, right? A mystic begins to connect with the energy that permeates everything. I already started by saying, as religious science teaches, Dr. Holmes would say there's power for good in the universe, greater than you, of which you are a part. So we're part of this something that's greater than us, and so we're part of it, and it responds to us. And we can learn how to use this power. So we are, or we're becoming, to the extent you learn to live the affirmative life and practice the teaching, and it's a transformative teaching, a healing teaching. You're becoming what I'll say, or starting to become modern day mystics. Again, a mystic is a person who sees beyond the visible, connects with the energy that permeates everything. So the mystic is going to see a situation not as a tragedy. The mystic is going to see that there's wholeness here, there's a completeness, there's healing, there's health. He or she is going to see beyond the apparent reality, which will be whatever is troubling. They're going to have a more holistic view. They're going to know that I could see peace, or could see God, I could see healing, instead of seeing what everybody else is seeing. And this doesn't suggest that we're ignorant of factual data, but it understands that we have a different way of looking at life. Mysticism involves a profound awareness of the interconnectedness of all life. There's not a spot where God is not. You've heard me say that before. The interconnectedness of all of life, meaning this presence, this power has always been, always will be, and we're a part of it. So there's this web of interconnectedness, and we have a deep recognition that beneath the surface of our material world, you know, all the things we talk about and say and complain about or unhappy about, beneath the surface of all of that lies a single unifying consciousness, a something. There is that thing which is within you, which you wake to. So we teach you many techniques. We teach you to journal. We teach you to take a pause. And a pause to unite with yourself so you can become aware that there is something within you that's always attempting to get your attention. It's called spirit. It's called the one. It's called the voice. It's called many things. Deep at the center of your being is this thing. As the great poet Rumi said many years ago, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. You're the entire ocean in the drop. This beautifully encapsulates the mystic's understanding that every single individual is a reflection of the whole. So Louise Hay would teach, and religious science teaches, that there is one energy and never two. There's one energy back of everything, not two, always one. In fact, that was, as I got into religious science, that was the whole third year studies, is the realization that there's oneness, one energy permeating all of life. And that was an interesting year because we were, in those classes, we're always talking about what was good and bad and all that. And there isn't such a thing really. It's how people use this one energy. If I'm a worrier and if I'm doing some version of ain't it awful or poor me, then that's my thinking. And what's going to happen is my life is going to reflect negatively, you know, those types of thoughts. Conversely, if I'm thinking that everyone's here to be helpful, and everyone, that there's an aspect of good and God in everything and everyone, if I'm seeing the good in life and the good in people, then life is going to reflect that. The universe is always saying yes to you, yes to your predominant thoughts. So it's a singular energy that we often refer to as source, spirit, creative energy, creative intelligence. It's the one. It's the foundation of all existence. It's there. It's been there before any religion ever was on the planet. And it's alive, and it's alive in you. Louise often emphasized that this energy is not distant or separate from us, but it's the very essence of our being. We live in it, we move in it, we have our being in it. And so occasionally we wake up and realize, oh my goodness, here I am, an individualization in this thing. And again, it's responding to me. Once you really start to get that, you realize, my goodness, you start to understand your value. And in the Louise Hay work, she would say most of the people she's encountered don't feel very good about themselves. Well, when you get involved in this teaching, you realize that, my goodness, I'm part of this divine thing. I'm one with the one. And you begin building on that consciousness, and you're starting to see your value, and you're starting to see the value in everything. You're starting to understand that every encounter that you have with anyone is a holy encounter, and then you begin to realize that people are also doing the best that they can as they're on this pathway, as they're evolving. So most of us have less and less to say about other people as we move along in this continuum of awareness and growth. And that's ultimately what life is. It's about growing, and it's about healing. And Louise wrote the beautiful book, You Can Heal Your Life, which touched tens of millions of people. It's helped so many people we can't count them anymore. She taught us that by tapping into the infinite, by connecting with this energy and tapping into it, we're opening ourselves up to love, healing, and transformation. In religious science, we take the mystical approach to understanding life, as I've already touched upon. We perceive the universe not as a collection of separate entities, but as a unified field of consciousness. So that simply means I know that I'm connected with all of you. There's not a spot where God is not. We are one with the one, we are one with one another. So Deepak Chopra would talk about this unified field of consciousness, and that's a nice way to think of it. So we're all in this together, we're all evolving, we're all moving forward. This particular perspective aligns with the core New Thought principle that our thoughts and our beliefs shape our reality. Every thought you think is creating your future, as Louise would say. By recognizing the good or the divine in everything all the time, we're aligning ourselves with universal consciousness. You can see God in every leaf, in every smile, every kind word. The mystic sees the good, the divine in all things and all the time. The mystic knows that miracles are natural, that they're happening all around him or her. Because they have the consciousness to see them, they will see them. In the time of Jesus, they would say, the kingdom of good or God is at hand. It always is. It always will be. It's always there for you if you have the consciousness to apprehend and see it. So this waking up, this recognition that we are one with it, it's here and it's responding to us. When we take the pause and we go within, and realize that we're one with spirit. This kind of recognition brings forth a sense of peace, brings forth a sense of purpose, and always an interconnectedness in our lives. As Louise Hay beautifully expressed, life loves you and so do I. That reminds me of a Reverend Theodore Parker who made her transition a couple years ago. She always said that, life loves you and so do I. This affirmation is not just a comforting phrase, but it's a profound truth about our relationship with the universe. To truly grasp the essence of mysticism, imagine looking at the world with entirely new eyes, where every interaction, every moment becomes a sacred experience. Because it really is. I could see good instead of this, I could see God instead of this. You have the ability to see the good in anything, if you really want to. And you say, but what about this person and that person doing whatever they're doing? And Louise will answer that by saying that they're doing the best that they can with the information, the consciousness they have. And so hands off, we realize that we're all evolving. None of us are, maybe operating at the level we want to either, but we know that as we look back, we've moved forward, and everyone else is as well. The mystic knows that when they look into another's eyes, they are seeing a reflection of the divine. So this shift in perception allows us to live with a deeper sense of compassion, a deeper sense of joy, and wonder as well. We get to have the consciousness to see the extraordinary in the ordinary and finding the sacred in the everyday things. Louise exemplified this approach. She called it the positive approach. She exemplified this approach, making spirituality accessible and practical for tens of millions of people. Her work teaches us that by embracing our mystical nature, we can transform our lives and the entire world around us. Louise philosophy, as I think I've already touched upon, was grounded in the understanding of several key metaphysical laws. The law of attraction, which is also called the law of correspondence or the law of mind, and the principle of mentalism from the Kabbalion. These laws form a backbone of Louise's teaching and provide a framework of how we can create positive change in our lives. She called it the positive approach. I call it the affirmative approach. It's the same thing. The law of attraction states, like attracts like. Meaning, if I keep on thinking positive things, then positive things are going to show up in my life. Our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs send out a frequency that attracts similar frequencies back to us. Louise taught us to harness this power positively. This is the way you do it. If you want things to be better in those areas, then you shift your focus away from the problem. That's really what the transcendentalists were all about too, is looking across, beyond, to knowing the truth. For example, if we focus on abundance, joy, and health, we're going to attract more of these into our lives. Conversely, if we dwell on fear, scarcity, negativity, and we're always involved in what's wrong and what's missing, then we're going to draw these experiences to us as well. So it's entirely up to us how we use this law. Now I have an affirmation for this lesson. To align with this law, I want everybody to think about repeating after me. I'm a magnet for miracles. Good things flow to me effortlessly, easily. Okay. I'll say it again. I'm a magnet for miracles. Good things flow to me effortlessly and easily. Now feel the energy of these words and the positivity coming into your life. The law of correspondence, I want to mention. It's often summed up as above, so below. As within, so without. And this means that our outer world is always going to be a reflection of our inner state. That's the way it works. If your consciousness is full of poor me and ain't it awful and nobody understands and poor, that is going to get reflected. It has to get reflected. So we want to turn that around. First of all, you'll hear me every Thursday night at some point ask, what's it been like being you lately? Now, I'm not trying to get into anyone's story or personal life, but I'm wanting people to become more mindful of what it is that they're spinning in their head, the way they're reacting to life. And because I know you can turn that conversation around if you really want to. So this is how that law of correspondence comes in. If I'm thinking negatively and I tend to be critical and I'm using the word should a lot, I should do this, I should do that, I'm always like being critical of myself or others, that law of correspondence is going to work against me. Because as I put that out, it's going to come back to me. Don't ask me in what ways, but it just does. I've known enough people, and I'm sure many of you have, who are really unpleasant to be around because it seems like they're always telling you what you should do, right? And whatever you're doing doesn't seem to be good enough. Louise Hay would say, you know, this is where they received a lot of programming as children. It's negative, and it's not even intentional. It's part of what they do. And what we're responsible for in this class, in this teaching, is to release the need for all of that. Wherever we find ourselves using that type of language, the should word and all of its synonyms, we want to consider trading that word out and using the word could, maybe some suggestions, giving people options, being less rigid, less, more loving to ourselves, because we do it to ourselves just as much as we do it to others. So loving ourselves enough to drop that word, because the law of correspondence is going to act upon that word and it's going to be reflected in your life. So we want to change our internal dialogue, our internal landscape, so we can cultivate inner peace, love, gratitude, so we can have a more harmonious life. Here's an affirmation for you. So reflect on this principle with, I cultivate inner peace, and my world mirrors this tranquility. My outer life is a reflection of my inner calm. Okay, so I jotted this one down for you. We're going to repeat it again. I cultivate inner peace, and my world mirrors tranquility. My outer world is a reflection of my inner calm. Now, these are wordy affirmations. I usually use the shorter ones, but these are good. Again, I cultivate inner peace, and my world mirrors this tranquility. Followed up by, my outer life is a reflection of my inner calm. So use them if you like, or make up ones of your own. Whatever you do with your affirmations, bring them to a point of belief where you can be passionate about them. Sometimes the longer ones aren't necessarily as good as the shorter ones. So I want to mention, Louise Hay's philosophy was grounded in the understanding of several key metaphysical laws. The law of attraction, which I already mentioned, the law of correspondence, and the principle of mentalism. So these laws form the backbone of our teaching, her teachings, and provide a framework of how we can provide positive change. I've already mentioned the law of attraction. She taught us we want to learn how to harness the power, this power. Ernest Holmes said the same thing, that there's power for good in the universe greater than you, of which you're a part, and you can use it. So we want to use this power affirmatively. The principle of mentalism is, mentalism, by the way, comes from the Hermetic teachings found in the Kybalion, which state that all is mind, and then the universe is mental. This means everything starts out as a thought. Our mind is the creative power that shapes our reality. By learning to master our thinking, we master our world. Okay? By learning to master our thinking, we learn to master our world. Pay attention to what that conversation is that you're having with the most important person in your world, which I talk about every week. So this idea from the Kybalion, which is about mastering your thoughts, is also central to the teachings of Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, who people used to say was the father of New Thought. He was saying these thoughts and beliefs shape our health, they shape our experiences. Quimby's work laid the foundation for the New Thought movement, which in turn influenced religious science. So here's an affirmation for you for this evening to help you harness this power. You could say, my thoughts are creative, and I choose now to create a life of joy and abundance. My thoughts are creative, and I choose to create a life of joy and abundance. And you could add on to it, I am the master of my mind. Louise Hay would say, I am the only thinker in my mind. Now, some of you will say, well, I've got this committee going. I hear my mother, my father, my aunts or uncles. And if that's true, then begin to let it go. Let it go. We're in the business of trading in the old ideas for the new. Trading in, as my teachers used to say, the lesser ideas for the greaters. greater ideas. So we want to harness the power that we have at our disposal that Holmes was talking about and say, my thoughts are creative, and I choose to create a life that's filled with joy and abundance. I'm the master of my mind. I have a little exercise for you. I want you to think about the last week, and I want you to identify a thought pattern you might want to change. So what was it like during the past week? Is there something that comes up for you in the way of a thought pattern that you think is getting in your way? If so, let's craft a personal mantra. For example, if you've been feeling doubtful or you're losing your faith, you might say, I trust the process of life. All I need is always taken care of. I know I'm safe and secure. And then visualize how this new thought pattern can transform your experience. So if you're going through a negative thing, note it to yourself, release the need for it. If there's something you need to learn, or let it be revealed to you, and whatever it is, then you're going to turn it around. And after you've released it, you're going to say something like, I trust in the process of life. Everything I need is always taken care of. I'm safe and secure. I'm supplied and supported. Any affirmation like that is going to be powerful to the extent you believe it yourself. And then the suggestion for this particular class and workshop is visualize how the new thought pattern can transform your experience. You could close your eyes and feel the truth of the words settling into your being. Affirmations repeated can be very, very powerful. They open up neural pathways, and it's a very powerful process. I'm oftentimes quoting Benjamin Franklin because he used to say, assume a virtue if you have it not. So keep working on the affirmations, and they will, they'll become part of your belief system. They'll override some of these old tapes. If you have something that's down there deep, examine it. Find a way to neutralize it and release it. I find as I use affirmations, some of these old things will spring forward, and that gives me the opportunity to actually work with them. So use a mantra like, I trust in the process of life. Everything I need is taken care of. I'm safe and secure. And visualize it. Affirm it. Bring it in so you can feel it, so it can settle into your being. Louise Hay understood the mystical truth that life reflects our beliefs, plain and simple. She saw divine energy in everyday activity, and she taught us that the sacred is found in the simple. Mystics recognize the divine in all aspects of life. Mystical people, or the mystical approach, is seeing the good, the God in every moment, and seeing it all as an opportunity for spiritual connection and growth. So I don't have to go out to the mountains. I don't have to go to the fields. I don't have to go doing anything particularly extraordinary. I can see it in the person who's preparing my meal, or the person, I can see it as I'm doing a chore. We can have this mystical experience just by shifting gears and seeing the good in all. And every hand that reaches out to offer any kind of kindness, you can see it's all God in action, the way I view it. And so it's up to you. You can invoke it. You can see it in everything and everyone and all the time. Louise suggested many things, but she suggested surrounding yourselves with loving people, creating a living environment that mirrors the love that you cultivate within. This practice not only enriches our lives, but also elevates the collective energy around us. I've got a couple examples. Louise had a daily routine which included affirmations, mirror work, we talk about that a lot, and visualizations. These practices helped her maintain a high vibration and attract positive experiences and health and prosperity. For instance, she would look into a mirror and say, I love you and I approve of you. I love and approve of myself exactly as I am. This very simple and powerful practice helped her and helped millions of people to break free from self-limiting beliefs and begin to embrace self-love. Here's an affirmation that we can practice. Repeat after me. I love, accept, and approve of myself. I am worthy of all good things. So you could say this to yourself anytime. I love, accept, and approve of myself. I'm worthy of all good things. Now this would be especially powerful if you had a mirror in front of you and you're connecting with your own image and saying, I love, accept, and approve of myself exactly as I am, and I'm worthy of all good things. That might be difficult in the beginning for some people, but it's something worth doing. And as you do it, feel the transformation. You can almost feel it as you say the words. So make that more powerful with the mirror, or just say it to yourself throughout the day. Here's another exercise. Think of somebody who makes you happy, who uplifts your spirit most of the time. Notice how their energy affects you. Now, consider that you can do the same thing. You can radiate happiness and joy and positivity in all your daily interactions also. This practice helps us embody the mystic understanding of interconnectedness. Write down a few ways that you can bring more positivity and more joy into your interactions with others. I've told you about this friend of mine, Pat, from Florida, for probably 25 years, maybe 30 now. She's smiling at everybody. She's smiling and saying hello, and you know, it's a spiritual practice, but that woman brings a lot of joy into a lot of people's lives, and it's such a simple thing, and she has such a profound experience from doing it. So consider what you might be able to do to radiate similar positivity in your daily interactions. It'll make you feel good, and it will also help others as well. Louise Hay and her teachings has impacted and resonated throughout the globe, influencing modern writers and thinkers like Wayne Dyer, who emphasized the power of intention, Greg Braden, who explored the science of spirituality. Her approach made the metaphysical accessible, practical, and vital. Her work didn't just fill books, it filled hearts, and it shaped many people's lives. It shaped mine, it shaped a generation or two. So by making complex spiritual principles understandable and applicable, she empowered individuals to transform their lives. I mentioned Wayne Dyer. He taught that our intentions shape our reality. And that echoes Louise's belief in the power of thought. Dyer's most famous quote, I think, was, "Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will change." That's very beautiful. Change the way you see it, you look at things, and things you look at will change. Now we're at the point of the lesson where I have some questions for you to reflect on when you do your personal sharing. And these come from New Thought Religious Science. So let's take a moment to reflect on the questions and Louise Hay's core principles. One of the underlying themes of Louise Hay's teaching is the belief that many of us don't feel good enough about ourselves. So we talk about that week after week and how that shows up. I don't feel good enough about myself. I might not think I'm as smart as my brother or my sister, or my mother or father. I don't maybe like the way I look. I don't like some of the things I do. Louise talked to thousands of people in her career, and it was her premise, the underlying thing with people is they just don't feel adequate. And when you come into this teaching, we're here to tell you that you're a spiritual being and you're a part of God, and so you're more than adequate for anything. So the antidote to that is learning to love yourself more. This feeling of insufficiency can permeate various aspects of our lives, and it will lead us to self-doubt and it will take us to negative experiences. To heal this belief, Louise often used the following affirmation: I love and approve of myself exactly as I am. This particular affirmation helps us build self-worth and recognize our inherent value. I love, accept, and approve of myself exactly as I am, and any of its variations you've heard said in different ways. But it's really important. Louise also said the point of power is always in the present moment, and that's such an important concept because so many people I know, and are always talking about yesterday and what it used to be like, the loves of the past. The people are no longer there. And the thing is, they're rarely living in the present. And the present is where you find everything that's wondrous and good. So our explanation is Louise taught that the point of power is always here in this moment. I remember studying Ram Dass when I was younger, and he used to say, be here now, be here now. Everything is found here. It's not, again, in the past. The past is something you can never change, and the good you're looking for is not in the future, which is yet to come. The present moment is where we have the power to make the change. That's why I'm always asking you, what's the conversation like with the most important person? Because if you don't change that conversation around, you're going to keep creating it. So you're on a loop. You're going to keep creating out of the past. And we want to stop that, take a pause, and be in a new moment where we can utilize the power we have at our disposal. Another fundamental tenet of her philosophy is forgiveness. Forgiveness is a very important aspect of everything Louise Hay taught. She taught that forgiving ourselves and others is really important for healing. Everyone, including ourselves, is doing the best they can with the information, understanding that they have at any given moment. So our affirmation for that is, I forgive myself totally. I forgive others. I release the past and move forward with love and understanding. Now, for a moment of silent reflection, let's reflect silently on these principles that come from her work and consider which of Louise Hay's teaching has impacted you the most. Which of her principles have influenced your life? Reflect on any experience or transformations that you've had as a result of applying the principles. Maybe it's unforgiveness. Maybe it's about being less critical of yourself and others. Maybe it's about the realization that all is well. In a few moments, we'll be turning our microphones over to you. So please be ready to share what comes up for you today, what principle touches your mind or your heart, what it's been like being you, and your observations and your demonstrations. What's changed from employing and utilizing some of Louise Hay's New Thought principles. Or if you're new to the group, please say hello, where you're from. We look forward to hearing your thoughts and your experiences. So let's wrap it up so we can turn over the microphones to you. We've journeyed through Louise Hay's philosophy. We've touched upon mysticism today. We're uncovering the depth and breadth of Louise's impact, seeing that her teachings remind us that each moment holds the potential for healing. Each and every moment is for giving and healing and transformation. Louise saw and lived the divine in every aspect of life, showing us that we too can embrace our own mystic potential. As we integrate these teachings into our life, we become conduits of love and light in the world. Remember that the principles that we've gone over today are not just theoretical, they're practical tools for creating a life of joy, abundance, and peace. Before we close, I'll revisit one of Louise's most powerful affirmations. Repeat after me, all is well in my world. Each day brings new blessings. I'm open to the goodness of life. Feel these words as a vibrant truth in your heart, a beacon guiding you forward. Final words, and as Louise said often, the point of power is always in the present moment. Let's turn the microphones over, embracing our power and letting it transform our life. Thank you all for your participation today, and I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you, and so it is. Thank you.